everybody. In this part of the recap, we learn that Robin speaks Cody.
Bullshit.
My name is Jenny, and this is Senior Perspective, where I'm giving you my senior perspective on Sister Wives today. Let's get started. We are picking up right now where we left off with my last recap. It's about halfway through this tell-all part 2. This is where Suki got confirmation from Mary that Mary was the one that actually invited Robin to join in on her conversation with Cody. Suki was surprised by this. Not sure if Suki's watching the episodes.
That's no good.
I don't know if this is just a little bit of acting or I don't know. I mean, if she's not watching, a producer should really clue her in as to what's going on. Nevertheless, she's surprised that Mary invited Robin and asks why she did that. And flat out, Mary says,
because she speaks Cody.
So Suki presents Robin with a fantastic question and doesn't give her 2 seconds to answer it before she backs it up with a very weak, watered-down question, of which Robin grabs onto and answers that secondary question. It's so disappointing. I couldn't believe it. And there was no follow-up. She never went back to the first question and asked her to answer that.
Do you think you'd speak Cody? You think you get Cody? I think I get Cody pretty well. I feel like I understand him, yeah.
Robin is the one who keeps saying that she speaks Cody. So she should be the one to ask, do you really think you speak Cody? And if you do, what does that look like? And why do you speak Cody and other wives don't, who have been married to him for 15 years longer than you?
All good questions.
Again, a missed opportunity. Thumbs down, Suki. Sorry, thumbs down. So Robin answers the second part of the question. Yeah, I think I understand Cody, yes. Suki asks, and the other wives? And she says, they have the capacity to. This is so demeaning. She really speaks down to the other wives. She really does. But the kicker, and probably the thing that was the most shocking to me in this episode, I could not believe that this is Robin's explanation as to why she speaks Cody. She went on to volunteer. He can be misunderstood very easily because he says everything that's in his head. Most people filter it. He doesn't. Okay. Why? Is Cody that emotionally stunted that he's still at a childlike level, or has he had a head injury? Because I can't think of another reason. Maybe if your ego is so incredibly inflated that you feel you are entitled and have the right to say absolutely anything that comes to your mind, and it's okay. It's not how life works. She's giving him a pass. And that's why she speaks Cody. It still doesn't make sense that that's why she speaks Cody. Because when Cody comes out and says what he's thinking without filtering it, we don't need Robin there to interpret. He's coming right out and being blunt and honest. So it really doesn't match I speak Cody as her definition. So it's kind of, we have two things going on now. We have the fact that you think you speak Cody, which means you can interpret what he says. But on the other hand, she's saying Cody doesn't filter anything he says. He says whatever is on his mind, which is the exact same thing that young children do. Do you know, when my son was maybe 2.5 years old, when at a Christmas party for our family, a distant relative, married into the family relative, was sitting on the couch, significantly overweight. And halfway through the time, my son says nothing. Halfway through the time, my son walks up to him and doesn't really even know him, but, had the courage, because when you're young, you just say whatever you want to say. And he said, wow. He goes, you're fat. It's just like my heart sank. As a mom, you're just like, I thought I taught my kids better. I mean, he was only 2. But still, At age 2, they have no filter. You don't know what's going to come out of their mouth. I mean, there are many situations, I'm sure many of you can share situations where you had kids say things that made you want to crawl under a rock. And on the other hand, we all laugh about them after the fact because we know they were just young, innocent children. They didn't know better, but they made us feel very uncomfortable because we know it was an inappropriate comment for the time. So now we have Cody in his mid-50s, and somehow Robin is justifying this behavior of his. Well, I speak Cody because sometimes people don't understand him because he says whatever's on his mind, and most people have filters, but he does not. And this is okay? Okay.
You are an emotionally stunted, self-absorbed man-child.
Her explanation just makes it even worse. Goodness, I mean, it's Clueless 1 and Clueless 2 living together in that lair over there, and they probably just sit down together and talk about how brilliant and wonderful they both are. It's crazy. When somebody clearly states what their thoughts and intentions are, that's not misunderstanding. That is 100% understanding. To think that somebody who has no filter and says whatever's on their mind needs an interpreter to speak Cody. I mean, maybe he needs a babysitter to clean up his messes after him. That's a possibility. We cut to Christine, who is responding to the Robin Speaks Cody comment. And I found this interesting. It actually was in the teaser, so we've seen it a little bit before this episode. But she says that Robin had convinced all of the wives that she could speak Cody and that she would mediate, she said, and that she would mediate our relationships. I even asked her one time to mediate our relationship. But then I remember going, oh, no. You know him. You can talk to him yourself. Meaning she was talking to herself, saying, Christine, you know him. You can talk to him yourself. So the verbiage of that whole thing was a little confusing, but you get the gist of it. In the end, Christine said, whoa, I don't need Robin in this. I can talk to Cody. We can work out our own problems. So interesting. That is an incredibly manipulative behavior. You know what? I can understand him and I'm here for you. I know you guys are struggling. Let me be there because I speak Cody and I can interpret it for you. And quite frankly, I can't think of one time that Cody said something that Mary didn't understand and needed Robin to interpret. Miraculously, Mary learned to speak Cody too because she understood everything he said. But somehow, Robin managed to weasel her way in, so she was there in the whole conversation. How many times? Oh, to go back and talk to the wives, how many times did Robin manage to weasel her way into the relationship of Cody with his wives and the children? Let's go on and talk about that. First of all, Christine continues on saying she convinced all of us that she needed to be there in our relationship and that she could speak Cody and we can't. The only reason I can think that they allowed this is that these wives were like sheep being led by a shepherd anyway, right? Anybody who is willing to be in a polygamist relationship. I mean, I'm sorry if you're in polygamy. I don't mean to demean anyone in particular for certain. But generally speaking, I mean, we have to all agree. Any woman who's willing to say, I will share my husband with you and you as well. And I will only see him 1/4 of the time. And he's going to have intimate relationships with all of you. That's whacked.
That's insane.
And to passively agree to all of that, you obviously are in a position of extreme vulnerability and lack of self-confidence. Janelle responding to this speaking Cody, she said, she always said she can speak Cody. Well, I don't know if I need a translator. And I love how she says, we've been married for a long time. And we did okay without you, Robin.
Did okay without you. I think I speak Cody.
And she ends it with, and I think I can speak Cody too. You can. You all can. Robin doesn't have any special skill. She didn't go to Cody College. Oh, can you imagine Cody College? What would be the courses in Cody College? How to curl your hair, how to swindle money out of people, how to convince people you're the king.
I'll do it. I'll be in charge.
How to pick out the right pair of gloves. Oh, there's going to be so many more. Write them down below. Give me a chuckle. Janelle goes on to say what bothered her the most was that Robin would go to Janelle's kids and say, oh, I think you should have a conversation with your dad about whatever it is you're going through. I'll be there with you because I speak Cody. She told Janelle's children, I speak Cody. Janelle's children have been around Cody many more years than Robin has.
But she likes to position herself as like, I speak Cody. She says that to my children. Why don't you come over? Like in the past, she said, why don't you have a conversation with your dad? I'll be there because, I speak Cody. And my kids are like, it's our dad. We don't really need you to speak Cody.
That one does bug me.
It does bug me. That one does bug me.
I think they all bug her, but obviously that one bugs her the most, that she would try to weasel between her children and Cody and get herself into that relationship. I don't know if it's just that she wants to gain as much gossip and knowledge as possible, or if it's a superiority complex, kind of like Cody has, where I need to be there. You need me. I don't know. Janelle says, well, Cody can speak for himself. He's a grown-ass man. We cut to Mary talking to Suki, and it's a little bit frustrating to me. The second or third time I watched it, I wasn't as annoyed as I was the first time, but there are things that she'll say that Cody's just going to have to learn to accept, and then Cody says things that I just have to accept. And of course, Mary makes reference to the lovely barn dominium. Let's put Mary out in the barn with the rest of the trash and junk. And Mary... This is where Mary, flip-flopping Mary, flips back and says, that isn't a very nice thing for him to say. It's also what he feels. Of course, she said, but it's also what he feels. What does he feel? Does he fill a bucket? I mean, come on. Drives me nuts too. Again, speech therapist. It's what he feels. And then she goes on to say, I can't fault him for what he feels. I can't even say it without a Southern accent. I don't know why. This is insulting to people who live in the South. I'm so sorry. I would try to do it without a Southern accent, but add feels at the end. It's what he feels. I can't fault him for what he feels. I did it with a Southern accent. Okay, one more time. It's what he feels. I can't fault him for what he feels. Did it. Yes, you can, Mary. Yes, you can. There are a lot of things that people feel in the world that you can fault them for. They're not all good things. They're not all pure. They're not all right. And if he's thinking and feeling something mean and cruel, you can fault him for that. Where did you learn that you can't fault him? Who taught you that? There is no accountability for Cody and his family, is there? And Mary's the biggest culprit. She lets him walk all over her. She's like this wishy-washy, new age, ignorant millennial who's just like, oh, what you feel is right, and what I feel is right, and what you think is right, and what I think is right. And we're all right because we're our own person. Don't judge.
News on the march. Millennials. Who are they? What do they want? A millennial can be defined as anyone born between 1982 and 2000, or anyone who thinks loving Sriracha or Austin, Texas counts as a personality.
Okay, I'm getting off track. And then we have Mary flipping back again, now being upset with Cody. Follow the bouncing ball. I mean, it's like a ping pong match trying to follow her conversation. It's like Cody and they all speak it. So far, we have Robin, Cody, and Mary, who all talk around things, change their minds, talk on both sides of their mouths, go back and forth, and give me a freaking headache, quite frankly. So after Mary says, you can't blame him for what he feels, she then says,
and then when he was like, Robin, don't put this pressure on me of the fact that we're a family, because we're not.
And Mary says,
well, maybe you should have communicated that we weren't.
And then maybe I wouldn't be acting like I'm trying to still be part of the family. I mean, I just don't even know what to say. She's 100% right. I agree with her. She's right. But the writing had been on the wall for like a decade that he didn't want her anywhere around. And COVID was a perfect excuse to completely shut her out altogether. She said she was lonely. She said she was all by herself. She stuck around in a 500 square foot house for what reason in Flagstaff? Only to try to get back with Cody. And he never reached out, and she didn't get the hint? I mean, how's that even possible? So there's reactions from all the wives regarding the whole barndominium situation, which we all know was horrendous. I'll add a clip here as to what he said about the barndominium.
No, I want to build a barndominium out there. I want a place to put my car that I don't drive except for in the summer. I want a place to put my stuff.
What does this have to do with me?
A big, giant garage or barn that has a loft apartment in it. A metal building that goes up fast, lickety-split, and you could live in that loft.
You're shitting me!
He just wants to put me out there with all this stuff, the extra stuff that he doesn't want to see, he doesn't want to deal with, he doesn't have room for.
Let's have the perception of something cool, but really what you're going to be is living with my garbage and the stuff I don't really care about. That was one of the most insulting things I've ever heard, and I think he was thinking he was being benevolent.
And I love how Christine said that not only was the most insulting thing she has ever heard, but Cody thought he was being benevolent. I think she's right. He thought he was throwing her a bone, which is what you do to a dog that you keep kicking and then you want it to keep coming back, right? It's disgusting. He's disgusting. Then we get to the ring story. Oh my goodness, the ring story. Precious. So much has been made of the ring story. My goodness, I can't record the second half of these things until Tuesday morning because my Mondays are just packed. Plus I'm editing and recording the first half of the video, and then I'm out of the house until 10 o'clock at night, and so I can't do anything until Tuesday morning. But I'll hear like little clips on shorts and that really quick, and I can tell what things are hot button topics. I don't have the opportunity until about Thursday or Friday and Saturday to actually sit down and be able to watch any YouTube videos from any content creators, but I sometimes get a sense from the shorts of where it's gonna go. And the ring is a big deal. All right, let's talk ring, okay? The interesting thing is that Suki had no idea where this was going. She's just talking about the big ugly horse ring that Cody's wearing on his finger, on his ring finger. It's this huge hunky thing that he managed to wear and tap on the counter as he's sitting there in front of Mary. So mean, and it's so cruel. And knowing the back history of the story and knowing that he was doing that as well takes it to a new level of cruelty. So Christine, referring to the ring on his hand, goes, it was so funny.
It's so funny.
Mary noticed
Let's not get over dramatic.
it right away.
Oh, okay, that's because there's a backstory here. And I don't know, I don't feel like it's all the way my place, but here we are.
I mean, she's just like, I don't give two shits. I'm going to go ahead and throw it out there. Now, I do want to point out, Christine tells the story from her perspective and from her conversation with Cody. So that puts a little different spin on it than if it was something that happened in the family and she heard about secondhand through Mary or somebody else. We have no idea if Mary ever said, please nobody ever speak of this. We don't know. Mary's just upset that because the story was about her, she laid claim to the story and said it was her story. But it's not really her story because the ring essentially involved the whole family, especially Robin. All right, so let's talk about it, because if you haven't watched the episode, you have no clue what I'm talking about here.
Okay, you're just confusing me.
Let me just retell the story. I'm not going to try to read line for line. Here's a summary of what happened. When Mary and Cody got married, Mary gave Cody a ring, a wedding ring. Well, obviously, then he married another one and another one and another one, and he didn't have rings on all the fingers. He had the one ring that represented that he was married, and he was married to all of them. But because Mary was his first wife, she's the one that gave him the ring. There's no discussion at all about whether he gave Mary a ring or not, or if he gave other wives a ring. We don't discuss that whatsoever. All we're talking about is the ring that Cody had. So Mary said around the time that he got married to Robin, and she doesn't remember exactly if it was before or after he was married to her. Somewhere during this time of the courtship / engagement that he had with Robin, which maybe actually was longer. Wasn't he engaged for 10 months, but he courted her longer? I can't remember. You can write it down below. I don't remember. Anyways, a long time. During this period of time, Mary at one point noticed that he was not wearing his ring anymore. And she said, "Where's the ring?" And he said, well, I'm not wearing it anymore because I don't want you to have that control over me. Which is interesting because he wore it for 15 years. So what's changed that all of a sudden he felt like Mary had control over him? So when Mary realized this, she's like, well, okay, can I have the ring back? It's sentimental to me if it's not to you. I mean, Mary and her following, oh, I understand that now because we're getting wife number 4, all of a sudden you're not going to wear it. Can I have it back? And Cody, being the douche that he is, said he had already melted it down and saved the diamonds. So he had the gold and the diamonds that he melted down, and he still had them. I read somewhere on Reddit or online or something like that he turned it into rings for one of his children or something like that. I don't know. Anyway, that's not in this episode, so I'm not going to address that. So he kept the gold. He didn't give her the gold back. He didn't give her the diamonds back. He kept it all, but he melted it down, which was a hurtful symbol of their marriage, kind of melting down in the form of it and everything. She saw it as very symbolic, and I could see that too. Okay. In Christine's version, she said,
I was like, he's like, I didn't want Mary to have control over me and power over me anymore. I'm like, it's still your wedding ring. It's what you've had for 15, however many years.
And then we see Mary.
I am extremely frustrated right now. Beyond.
We have really seen a glimpse of the Mary that the kids have been talking about. Can you imagine that kind of seething undercurrent of anger, like the worst kind of anger when somebody is really calm and just grits their teeth and talks to you? She was pissed.
I found out that a story was brought up about me that is not a story that I have ever shared publicly. That is my story to tell. When, where, and how I want to.
She was so mad that Christine shared this story.
And somebody else took it upon themselves to tell that story. And now I'm being forced to talk about it. And I'm not happy about it.
Because she said that now she has to talk about the story, which she didn't. She could have just said, I'm not talking about it. It's still hurtful to me. This is about 17 years later. The level of anger and vitriol in her bones over this situation with Christine that happened 17 years ago didn't even happen with Christine. Christine just mentioned it. It really doesn't make sense. It really doesn't compute. She's clearly angry about something else. Maybe something else going on with Christine, and this was the straw that broke the camel's back. Or, probably more likely, she's still really angry with Cody about it because she never resolved it and she never shared her feelings, and she's just been harboring and pushing that down all these years. And now it's coming out and she's lashing out at Christine because she's the easy one to lash out at. Because I think Mary still holds a small, tiny sliver of hope that maybe her and Cody will get back together.
Oh no. Really?
So she's not going to show anger and vitriol towards Cody, but she will towards Christine. Mary says, "This was a story I never shared publicly. This was my story to tell. When, where, and how I want to." I just want to point out, this story's been out there. She told this story to her boyfriend, who was the lady who was catfishing her. And she spread the story out there. So, I mean, I think it was even in a book. I think she published a book about different things that Mary told her about the family. I want to say I heard it was a book. Anyway, I haven't looked that up, whether it was a book, but I know it's been out there online anyway. So that's what makes the level of anger over the fact that this was this private story that she now has to talk about and she doesn't want to. Not so private. A lot of people knew about it already. Maybe it's stirring up the emotions of the fact that Catfisher was sharing these stories along with other stories that she shared. And so her anger at the Catfisher is coming out here. That's a possibility. I don't know. But she was frightening.
If I wanted to have shared that story in the last 13 years in a public way, I would have done that. She doesn't get to come on here and tell my story without me even knowing it.
And I get it now. If you watch the previous episodes, I have been championing, it's hard to say. I have been championing, I can't say it. I have been an advocate for Christine, Mary, and Janelle to get together and be the ex-wives club. And I just think it would stick it to Cody in a way that nothing else would. And I think it would be fabulous. And I just felt like, oh, you know, I just wish Christine would just get over everything with Mary and that Janelle would just accept her, because Janelle never really liked her, didn't really accept her. But Christine's the one that was really hurt by a lot of the things that she did and said to her kids. But I get it now. We got a little glimpse of what life might have been like living in the household. And can you imagine being a young child under that kind of adult supervision? It's frightening. It's scary. So I'm okay now. Mary can live her life. I wish her well. Christine and Janelle can go off and be Thelma and Louise and be best of friends. And can we step aside for a second and say that she's this upset that Christine just shared a true story that happened, but she appears emotionless in the scene where she's sitting at the picnic table and the land that she bought with a huge hunk of her money of Coyote Pass, she realizes Cody's getting 4 acres, Robin's getting 4 acres, Janelle's getting 4 acres, and she's getting 2.
Wait, that's not fair.
And her response to that was just, I understand. I understand. The discrepancy here is crazy. I find it interesting also, I don't know if they showed the clip to her afterwards, but she said, Christine can laugh about it all she wants. Well, Christine didn't really laugh about it. If you watch it, Christine was laughing about the ring situation, the ugly horse ring that he wears. That's what she was laughing about. And then when she started in and said, well, Mary obviously noticed it right away because of the whole ring backstory. Once she started telling the story, she said it in an empathetic, or sympathetic anyway, way. So that was a little bit of a mischaracterization there. I hope that she has a chance to really watch it and see, or somebody can let her know, because I'm sure that that would make her more angry. And maybe that's where it came from. Maybe they just told her Christine was laughing about this story. I hear producers do that kind of shit all the time. If they did, that's rotten. That's really rotten. Now at this point, she's full on like yelling. Her voice is so deep and boisterous that it comes across as a yell often. There's many times that I listen to her talking head interviews and I'm sitting back, laying in bed, watching it on the television and like leaning back further going, stop yelling at me, okay, bring it down, shh, you're so loud, why are you so angry? And I don't even think she's that angry all the time, but she has a very intense way of speaking often.
that was a symbol. That was a sign of like our marriage and our commitment. And he melted it down.
But she goes on and on and on. As she should. It's her story to tell. It just makes no sense that she's been holding on to this for this many years. He was rotten. He was mean. I guess now that I think about it, she hasn't shared anything where he was really rotten and mean. She might have a whole book. I'm telling you, the whole divorce thing, there's at least a chapter, if not two, on the divorce thing and how it went down very differently than what we saw on camera. I guarantee you that was not Mary's idea. That seed was planted in her head by either Cody or Robin. I know it. Hey, we're halfway through this review. Thank you for sticking it out. I'm so glad you're here. Please subscribe to my channel if you've just found me, and let's continue on with the review. She points out that all of this happened 7 years before the catfishing thing occurred.
Happened probably 7 years prior to the catfishing.
So she points out to Suki that she had been spending 7 years trying to be in a relationship with somebody who did not want to be in a relationship with her.
And I spent those 7 years trying to be in this relationship with Cody that he did not want to be in with me.
Right from the point he married Robin, I have so many questions. This could be a whole separate video, but I have so many questions when it comes to why Mary encouraged him to pursue Robin. That story just does not hold water. Something is off. At one point, they were at somebody's house and they met there. It was like a mutual friend or relative. And Robin was a cousin of somebody who was a friend that was at this house party. Another time there was dancing going on and she told him to go dance. Were they dancing in the house? I mean, I guess people might do that. I don't know. You're all Mormons. You don't even really dance. So I don't know. Or do you? I don't know. If you're Mormon and you dance, let me know. But in their very strict sect of Mormonism, the AUB, I'm pretty sure dancing is a no-no. So I'm very confused by that story. I feel like there's misleading information. And I just find it very hard to believe that Mary, who was kind of the chosen one because she was wife number one, would pick out a young, pretty girl 10 years younger and say, here, you should take her as a wife. Who in their right mind would do that? So either Mary's not in her right mind, or there's way more to this story. I think there's a whole story about Robin pursuing and putting herself in situations to meet Cody. But I have no facts. We'll wait for Mary's book. We have Robin's amazing response to Suki asking her about the ring situation.
Mary had given him a gold ring, and then he kind of wore that gold ring. But then he melted down the gold ring that Mary had given him when you came into.
No, he had done that before I came along.
Okay.
You're fired, Suki, you're fired. Your answer to that was, oh, okay. My goodness, you just listened to everybody else tell this story.
It wasn't when I came in the family. It was way before that. Because he wasn't wearing a wedding ring when I met him.
Okay.
And when she gave a completely contradictory response, he had melted it well before she was ever in the picture. No. Mary thought it may have even been after they were married. Clearly Robin was in the picture at the time. Okay. Get out of here.
You're fired!
And then also, how does Robin know if she wasn't around before then? She claims he never had the ring from the point that she met him.
I don't believe that.
I don't know. It's fishy. It's fishy again, right? It's really fishy. I think we need to do a little bit more of a deep dive with the rest of the wives to gather some more information. Did he really stop wearing his ring well before? I think the other wives would have noticed too. I think Mary would have noticed if it was earlier than that. I don't think my husband's going to go for years without wearing his wedding ring without me noticing and saying, hey, what's that little symbol that you're taking? Where'd that go? And here's Cody responding to the ring. Now we're talking about the horse ring at this point because he interviewed first and she had not heard Christine's story about the meltdown of the other ring. So Suki says, well, tell us about this big, fat, ugly ring on your hand. And he said, I saw it. It was way nicer. And I thought, cool, I want that. You fat. Oh, look at the cool ring. I want that. Man, he acts like a toddler.
Remember Mary pointed out,
Yeah.
said, oh, what about the ring? I'm staring at your ring. Tell me about the ring. Because
you just saw this really cool ring.
Okay.
It was way nicer. I went, that's cool. I want that.
How does Robin deal with it? And then the dramatics came. There's always something in one of these clips that, like, I always mention, like, the shivers down my spine. It was when he said, so, like, I took the ring like this, and then he put it on his other hand, and then I just went.
And some things happened, and I went, I just went, those relationships are over. And I went like this.
The dramatics. Stay tuned for Cody's Community Theater, which I'm sure will come in the next episode as well. We went from, are you ready for some singing and dancing and a little bit of comedy? To, and I went like this. That wasn't even mean. The ring is off. He talks about how after this, he kind of backtracks and says, well, but then, there's still Janelle, and I still would like to get together with Janelle. Well, you just took the symbol of your wedding and marriage to Janelle off your hand and went like this, Cody. It's gone. Bye-bye, cluttering. Hello, ugly horse ring. And we can see at the picnic table when Mary reaches out to grab Robin's hand to comfort her in the breakup of marrying Cody. On her hand, she has at least 2, if not 3 gold rings. And one of them looks like it's the exact same shape as that ugly horse ring. So I think she got like a smaller woman's version of the same ring. Fine, whatever. They can have matching rings. The point is, he's technically still married to Janelle and he's trying to get her to come back to him. Not a good way to go about doing it. I mean, I'm not a marriage counselor, so I might be wrong here. But I think removing your wedding ring and substituting it with a ring from another lady that just the 2 of you have, and you're no longer a part of it, I'm thinking that's probably not a way to get Janelle back. Call me crazy.
I can't argue with that.
Here's the drive me crazy Mary part. Suki basically asks Mary, why are you not accepting all these statements that Cody is saying about how he's done with you and how he doesn't want to be with you? And Mary says, quote, I've seen the nice, kind, happy, giving, loving Cody Brown and fully expect that to come around, end quote. Why? Yeah, why? What makes you think that's going to come back around, Mary? Anything? Anything. This is a really great part. So after she says that, Suki says, but yet you're in the barndominium. Okay, figurative language here, right? So she's saying, but like he wants to put you into this barndominium. But she's like, but you're in the barndominium. And which I expected Mary to go, yeah, that's where he has me, in the barndominium. But Mary says, I'm not. No, not literally, Mary. We know you're not in the barndominium. It's a figure of speech. He's putting you out to pasture. He's putting you with the trash. He's pushing you aside. He's saying all this stuff about you. It's the same thing as him putting you in the barndominium. You can say you're not in the barndominium, but you're in the barndominium because you've accepted him putting you into that barndominium. Again, we're talking figuratively here. Mary goes on and says, it's just those kinds of things that led me closer and closer and closer to be like, really? Like, why don't you just say the words finally? Why don't you just tell me? Instead of all of this, like, I don't know, it's like he's not saying it. He just says the things that are not kind. And I'm not and I'm not gonna just be like, well, you're a jerk, so I'm leaving. I take my commitment to my marriage more serious than that. This is Rich. So she knows all these things that are being said about her. She's watched all the negative things he said on television about her. And he's said these things to her also in private. But because he won't come out on camera and say them, she thinks she still has a chance? Why? Why? What makes you think that? Why does he need to say it on camera to you when you've heard it everywhere else? Everybody else has heard it. We would understand if you picked up and left. We wouldn't say, why is Mary going? Does she think nobody else watched the show, but they're going to watch that one episode when she leaves and judge her? Or does she deep down inside think, since he won't put it on camera, maybe he doesn't really mean it? The best line in all that, though, was when she said, I don't know, it's like he's not saying it. He just says the things that are not kind. He just says all these not kind, downright mean things, Mary. Not kind, but okay, we'll call it not kind. Let's call it not kind. He says he's not kind things about you, but he's not saying he wants to go.
So you're telling me there's a chance?
And there's another great part. So she's going on and on and on, and now she's starting to list and talk all about how rotten Cody is. Okay, we're on board. We agree. He's rotten. She mentions all these horrible things that he said and did, and she concludes with, so when it was time for me to move my clothing business to the B&B, I wanted to do it. Oh. Slow clap, Mary. She's still not saying she wants to leave him. All she said was when it was time to move my clothing business, I wanted to do it. Honest to goodness. I mean, maybe we should celebrate baby steps, right? This is a baby step. TLC airs the picnic table end of the season conversation again with extended footage, which is nice. It really should have been in the original show. I mean, I feel like there's other random stuff, shots of Cody driving it on his four-wheeler that we could have cut out and put some important dialogue into the show. It was nice to hear this extended footage and more of the conversation going on. There is a tiny, and I'm telling you, tiny, don't hate me, don't thumbs down this video, don't unsubscribe. There's a tiny part of me during this conversation as we listened to the whole thing all the way through that had a slight degree of sympathy for Cody.
Very small.
Because this is the one time where it just feels like he is exhausted from telling Mary over and over, it's not going to happen.
He said, don't you understand, Mary? This is never going to happen. I have no interest in having a relationship with you. Your life is not one that I want to insert myself into.
We're not going to have the relationship you want. I'm not in love with you. You can go. You won't get a fight from me. I don't know why you're in this town anymore. And after every conversation, Mary still sticks around and acts like she's still the same part of the family and talks to Cody about like, well, you know what, maybe we can work it out. So at the beginning of the picnic table scene, we see that where he makes it very clear to her, listen, we just had this huge conversation off camera.
I just think there's a lot that needs to be talked about.
What needs to be talked about?
You and me.
Well, Mary, we have those discussions.
Yeah.
it's over. I made it clear that it's over.
We've had those discussions, and I think those discussions have been made clear.
Yeah, they're very clear.
And then he said something to the effect of, did you think that there's still a chance? And she says yes.
You've been feeling like we would reconcile.
I have felt like that we could.
I don't even want to talk about this anymore because I feel like we're going in circles, round and round this merry-go-round. I don't know how Mary can lead a life like this. Getting an answer and not accepting it, and then just hoping that it's going to change. Getting the answer again, not accepting it, and then hoping it's going to change. And just keep going back for more.
You're better than this.
I think based on her social media, she's moved on now. Finally. But I don't trust it. I don't trust it. I 100% think that if Cody gave her a call and said, I've been rethinking this. I've been so wrong. I did you wrong. I've loved you this whole time, but I've been denying myself and denying you. It's not right. Baby, come back. She'd be right back in Flagstaff. Cody in this clip talks to the situation when they first moved to Flagstaff on their first anniversary. Mary said that they had a trip to the Grand Canyon and went out for dinner, and he said, this will be the beginning of something new for us.
And I was sincere 3 years ago when I was saying, let's see if we can make this work.
4 years ago.
4 years ago.
And she was very hopeful in that moment. And he said that at that point 4 years ago, he believed it. He really thought, let's get this going again. But he said and did nothing to make it happen, which is Cody's MO, right? He said he wants to get back together with Janelle, and he spent 6 weeks without, 2 months actually. He spent 2 months without seeing her. And the collateral damage of that was 6 weeks of his daughter Savannah not seeing him. So Cody making idle promises and not following through is obviously a pattern that we see.
Today's our anniversary. You and I have not been out together since last year's anniversary, which is fine. I mean, it is what it is.
And Mary said, I was so confused why nothing happened after that.
And I was very confused why nothing ever happened after that. I was so excited at that anniversary when you said that.
So ask him, Mary. She spent 4 years being confused and still wondering, when is it going to happen? I don't know. Honestly, we have to move on. I still have more notes. I don't know why this keeps going on. And in that time, 1 year after that, and I believe this is the clip we actually saw on the show when they were in the car going for a road trip, because that's the only thing that Cody knows how to do or enjoys doing is driving cars, wearing gloves.
Here we are celebrating our non-anniversary because we're not a couple, but we're in a family. And so, like, what are we? And what are we celebrating? It's just a funny situation.
Cody says at that time, this would have been their second anniversary in Flagstaff. He said, it's not going to happen anymore.
Mary and I haven't seen each other a lot during the COVID, and Mary and I haven't lived together since before we even left Las Vegas.
So this was 3 years ago now, because they agreed 4 years ago is when they moved to Flagstaff, and that's when they first went on the anniversary dinner, and he said, let's make this a new beginning. The year after that, on their anniversary, they go for a drive, and he said, it's not going to happen. We're over. And do you remember in that car conversation, Mary said,
I've been waiting for you, honestly.
And I'm not coming.
I know that.
I'm just here. I'm waiting for you. And Cody turns and looks at her as he's driving, and he said, but I'm not coming, Mary. Like, it was clear. Very, very crystal clear. She didn't hear it.
It's so hard to make her understand.
But after he reminds her about that and what he said, Mary says, I did not feel like you were very clear on it and like definite with it, with me, until this year on our anniversary. I mean, what do you say? It's on camera. Could have sat there and rewound and play a million times. He was very, very clear. He did it on camera for the world to see, with you right next to him. And there was no misunderstanding. So why for 3 years after that it took to this anniversary for you to hear it, I don't know. But like, I want to be sympathetic to you. I do. But like,
I'm just trying to understand.
I guess I just don't understand, because I would never allow myself to be in that situation. We go back to that picnic table. Now, do you remember in the final episode at the picnic table when after Robin does her whole, I gotta go, I can't handle it. Here I am, I'm going now. No, don't call me back to the table. I'm leaving. I have to get away. Eventually, Robin comes back, of course, and sits down at the table. Doesn't allow Cody and Mary to have the conversation on their own. She gets halfway around the lake and realizes nobody's chasing her. Hightails it back. And here's the extended version of the clip of the conversation with Cody and Mary. Watch this.
I know that you don't feel or consider yourself married to me. That's not true. He's had it, so he must feel it.
In the talking head, Cody goes on to say that Mary wanted love in a specific way and format. Format, that's an interesting word, but okay. She wanted love in a specific way and format, and I have a different kind of love in a specific way in a format for her.
I am listening.
He loves to hide what he's really trying to say in a bunch of words, right? So he's basically saying, Mary wanted to have a romantic love with me where we would kiss, make out, and maybe even have sex.
Oh, Lord!
And I had a different format in mind. I'm thinking you just supply our family with continual money, and on occasion, you can see the kids and maybe come over at Christmas. Oh. Does that work for you? Because it works for me. So according to Mary, this is where we get into a little bit of timeline stuff. Last April, when they did the last taping for the one-on-one, because we pushed this season out quickly because of everything happening in the family. So last April, they were taping the last one-on-one, and at that time, she said that Cody had already told her, I'm not going to be in a marriage with you. This is never going to move forward. And she said, okay, then let's put it out publicly. Let's put it on our social media. It's not moving forward. And he said no. He didn't want to do that. He would receive too much criticism.
Weak. Very weak.
And Mary agrees, because that's what Cody wanted. He says, I am not going to be in a marriage with you. This is never going to move forward. And she's like, okay, well, let's put it out there publicly then. No. People are going to criticize me. Okay, Cody. That's how it went down?
So over this.
Now it's September, and they're airing the tell-alls from last season. And she sees Cody putting it out there to the world. His agenda, without her, saying, I don't know why Mary's around anymore. If she wanted to leave, she wouldn't get an argument from me. I don't consider us married. I don't even know why she's still in town.
Ugh, he's the worst.
Mary's seeing this and then going, WTF. I said 5 months ago, let's put it out to the world, and you said absolutely not. And then this is what you said at that same time, because it was taped then. It wasn't aired until September. He turns around after saying no, and puts her on blast. She doesn't see it till September, and I mean, I hope she had at least the same reaction that she had to Christine, and finding out that Christine shared the ring story. That is benign compared to what he said about Mary. So after that was put out, she realized, oh, okay, it is over. I mean, he said it was over last April. I said, let's put it out publicly. He said no. They haven't really had a relationship this whole time. Come September, she sees what he says. But then the picnic table scene where they officially break up didn't happen for another 1 to 2 months. She said during that time they were having conversations back and forth.
Why?
What is there to say after he says that about you? She was still trying to reconcile. Suki points out, well, it looks like Cody did say it publicly. He just didn't say it to you. And she said, exactly. I was owed that. I don't know why she wants that so badly to be put on tape. Why? Does she just want to hurt herself more? Maybe she's just a glutton for punishment. She's a sadist or something. I don't know. Because he did say it to her privately. And he kind of said it to her publicly too. He just wasn't as crude and rude as he was in that tell-all. It was like the nail in the coffin. And she still wasn't happy enough. There needed to be an on-camera conversation where he said these things to her. Which is why she was so calm at that picnic table. He's already said it 50 times. So now he sat down at a picnic table and they talked about it publicly and she's okay with it. I
guess.
Okay. If that's what you want. I mean, she should have just come out and said that before. I will get off your back and stop trying to get back in touch with you and back in a relationship with you if you just sit with me and we do this on camera. But they don't know how to communicate with each other. He seemed exhausted and defeated when he was at that picnic table. Do you remember when Robin made the joke about, well, I need my piece of land because maybe I won't be married to him anymore? He's just like, I'm just trying to think of a rebuttal. You know, like he just really, and I was just like, this is very weird, Cody. I didn't know if he was acting or what was going on. I think he was just like, okay, we're going to do this one more time. But it's his fault. It's his fault because he would never put it on camera and that's what she wanted. So he has to have the conversation 50 times until he learns to put it on camera. I do feel without the picnic table conversation, now almost tilts the tables a little bit more in Cody's favor because I was like 200% anti-Cody before it. And I was like, come on, Mary, like stand up for yourself or give it to him or, you know, like.
We've had those discussions and I think those discussions have been made clear.
Yeah, they're very clear.
And after that conversation where she admitted that she had heard all the stuff before.
He said, don't you understand, Mary? This is never going to happen. I have no interest in having a relationship with you. Your life is not one that I want to insert myself into.
I left it kind of awkwardly confused. It was very anticlimactic for a season finale. And I think that's just because she knew exactly what was going to go down and she just nodded and waited till it all came out and said, okay. But now all of the stuff in that picnic table scene that originally really bothered me is making sense with this interview about that I'll do the acting if you want me to do the acting. I mean, it's rotten.
Pretty rotten.
That he said all of that, but it's all making sense now. The pieces are coming together. How he said multiple times it's over and she just wouldn't accept it. The question lies, did she just not accept it because Robin wouldn't allow her to accept it? That Robin was in her ear saying, no, 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 no. I see there's a glimmer of hope. I think that happened. When Mary kept claiming that, you know, she still had hope and she didn't know, Suki said, well, did you ever just pick up the phone and talk to him about it? And Mary said, I don't think he would have heard me. And here's our problem. She's assuming what the outcome is already going to be, so she's not even taking the proper step to heal or solve the relationship. Because I don't think he's going to understand, I'm not even going to make the phone call, which is going to solve nothing.
That's stupid. Use your common sense.
This is when Suki says, well, isn't it about you just being heard? Which I think she was heard. So I didn't really understand that question. Maybe you can explain that to me. Like, it seemed like they had many conversations going back and forth. Mary just wasn't hearing him, but I think she was being heard. But at any rate, this is what gives us the cliffhanger for this episode where Mary says,
"Oh, my voice will be heard. I will no longer be silent."
I am so sorry if this was just like a therapy session and you're all exhausted. I feel like there wasn't a whole lot of haha funny in this part of the episode. It was heavier and deeper.
Sorry, y'all.
And I believe we all deserve Psychology 101 certificates after this. All right, let's hope there's a little bit of levity in the part 3 one-on-one episode next week. If you're new to my channel and you want to watch some more videos like this, click here and it'll take you to my main page. Or you can click here. This is what YouTube recommends you watch next, but I don't know why. Like, subscribe, and I'll see you next time. Bye.